Hi everyone. As promised in my earlier video, I took my first trade yesterday, the 9th of June 2022, live. And as I said in my earlier video, I would go through an Excel explaining the rationale behind the levels and the strategy behind the trade. Specifically, the trade I took was a short iron Condor with a range of 525 to 1075, which is a pretty large range, and I'll be going through some of the rationale now. So I took a trade for the expiry of 15th of July, the monthly expiry, at around 8:40 p.m., at which point the spot price was 748. I took a short PE at 525 and made a $7.29 premium for a total of 500 contracts. I had a total premium of 3,645, and I also took a long PE at 500 and paid $5.492 for 500 contracts and lost $2,746. I took a short CE at 1,050 and made a premium of 2.65 for 500 contracts for a total premium of 1,325. And finally, I took a long CE at 1,075 and paid $2.12 for 500 contracts and a total premium of a minus $1,060. And I also paid a $14.12 commission for a net premium of $1,149.88. If the trade goes right, I'll make a 7.67% return on the initial capital of $15,000. But if anything goes wrong, then I'll be doing live adjustments for the channel. To break down some of what happened, it is important to analyze the reasoning behind the option chain analysis. So the highest OI in the PE at the point was 650 was in level, and the OI levels were 11,882. Meaning that 11,882 contracts were being traded at the $650 level. The second highest OI for the PE was 700, and the OI levels at that mark were 8,621. The CE highest OI was at 800, with the OI levels at 19,716 contracts being traded at that mark, and the second highest CE OI was at $900, with 9,888 contracts being traded at that point. After some analysis of the PE squeeze and CE squeeze, we found that the max support was at $650 and the max resistance was at $800. The PE squeeze, as aforementioned, was at 18,808 and the CE squeeze was 11,980. And we found that a short direction was down. The 5-day price change was a minus 7.21%. And the 10-day price change was a 9.16% change, and the 30-day price change was a minus 18.42%, which shows that the price trend is downwards. This is further backed up by the volume, which is at 32,068,400 compared to the 30-day volume, which is at 30,816,636.67, which shows that the volume trend also backs the downward trend. Next, I'll talk a little bit about the price trend. The previous 5 days high was not broken, nor was the previous 10-day high or the 30-day high. The previous 5-day low was not broken, and similarly, the previous 10-day low and the 30-day low were not broken. The swing high and low for 5 days high was 766.64, and the 5-day low was 690.28. With a 30-day high of 955.5 and a 30-day low of 620.57. And some chart analysis is now going to incorporate into my decision as well. Bollinger Bands, really. The weekly Bollinger Band, the upper band was at 1,091.55, and the middle band was 858.56, and the lower band was 625.58, with a range of 465.97 and a 30-day range of 494.57. The RSI is also a good way to measure. The RSI daily at that time was 51.25, so there was not really a position trade based on the RSI. And the pivot points for the daily was $731.01, and S3 was 679.76, and the R3 was 776.84. Finally, implied volatility. Implied volatility of bar chart was at 69.73%. Historical volatility was at 79.66%. IV percentile in bar chart was 87%, and finally IV rank was at 70.83%. This is favorable because the IV is trailing below the historical IV, which makes it favorable for a trade. Finally, some of the chart action that happened during the time was a double top and inverted, actually, top and bottom, as you can see here. And it actually has a long-term trend, but because of inflation data that came out recently, released, which was negative, and will adversely affect the downward trend, which will happen for a short term at least, which will make the trade easier to do. And here I've marked out some of the support and resistance levels as well. So the first three main support and resistance levels that are happening, especially for the resistance right now, are at $772.92, $795.06, and $851.31. Likewise, the supports go at $699.63, $679.95, and $620.75. If the price goes below $620.75, there will be closed monitoring and probably adjustments will be required, but any trades that will be made will be shown live on this channel for new videos. Likewise, if the price goes above 851, close monitoring will be required, and if any adjustments are required, all will be done live. And that is really the main analysis of the reasoning for my trade, and I hope that you understood what the reasoning was behind the levels and the short iron corner that I took yesterday, and more videos to come.